Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. Man, you know, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, checking my video out. So I will say that as I was preparing this video, I did hit 3,900 subscribers. So I'm only 100 subscribers away from 4,000. You know, that might not sound like a lot, man, but it's a lot to me. So I appreciate everybody very much for subscribing. Of course, if you haven't subscribed already, please do. Yes. But yeah, you know what? I went back to the Superbet, Blitz, and Rapid, and I do have the round 11 game. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check. No, round 21. My bad. I think that was yesterday. I do have the round 21 game between Anton Korobov and Wesley. So of course, for all of my people coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking magkaibigan. Magandang umaga, almasal tayo. Hello, ulit. I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by and taking a look at my video. Anybody who is coming from Ukraine, I will say privyt and spasibi. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by and taking a look. But if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look and see what we have for this game, man. So we got the move C4, E5, knight to C3. We got knight to F6, knight to F3, knight to C6. And then we have the move A3. And we have the English opening 4 knights, and this is the Korchnoi line. For those of you who are not familiar with Viktor Korchnoi, he is by far one of the strongest players to never be world champion. He played in 1978 and 1981, and he came damn close in 1978 to defeating Anatoly Karpov. So, you know, true legend. I've already featured him on my Chess Legends area. But yes, moving on. We do have the move G6, G3. So both sides kind of have the same idea. They're trying to, you know, do a little hyper-modern Fianchetto situation. Bishop G7, Bishop G2, castles and castles. We do have the move D5. I mean, you know, one of the only moves you can make in this position that challenges, a possible center, you know, tries to achieve it, is the move D5. So we see pawn taking D5, knight taking D5. And then we do see the novelty of the game, which is rook to B1. And rook to B1 is actually pretty clear. You're just basically saying, man, if the knight takes, I'm going to take with the B pawn. And I do have an open file, half open file at least for my rook. And that is exactly what we do see. We got knight taking C3, pawn taking C3. And, I mean, this rook is actually doing a very legitimate job at the moment for tying this bishop down. You know, you want to kind of go like bishop G4 or bishop F5s or, you know, even a bishop E6 or something like that. But you cannot do that at the moment because this pawn will be all lonely and it'll be gone. It'll be munched up. So we do see the move E4. You know, this is a very common thing. You know, when you do have, you know, both center pawns or a center pawn and you got a knight just kind of hanging out, you know, doing what you don't think he ought to be doing, you know, disrupt him a little bit. Throw the move E4. And then we do have knight to D4 in this particular position. And we do see the move rook to E8. Now, it is possible just to take the knight on D4. So if we did see that happen, the knight would take on D4, pawn would take, and it might seem like you're getting a pawn. But after the move bishop takes D4, you would see the move E3, bishop going back to G7, and then bishop takes E4. And everything is like pretty identically even. So, I mean, you know, either way, you're good to go. But after knight to D4, like I said, we did see rook over to E8. And this does allow knight taking C6, pawn taking C6, and the move queen to A4. And, I mean, we got a little bit of pressure rolling. We do have this file completely overtaken. But, I mean, everything is fairly equal. It's not like either side is, like, you know, crazy, you know, just, like, winning the game or anything. In this particular situation, you did have the ability to kind of pose a question to black with the move D4 and basically ask black, do they just want to give you like a nice little center or are they going to give your bishop some play? And you probably would see pawn takes D3 en passant and then the move pawn takes D3. You know, you have opened up this bishop and this is a pretty dangerous threat right here. So so you do not want to probably give that. So after we see pawn taking, we do see queen to A4. Very logical threat. I mean, we're just threatening some pawns. We are laterally threatening this pawn here. So, you know, kind of asking black, you know, what do they want to do? And we do see the move bishop to F5. And we have reached a point in the game that I would like for you to pause the video and see what is the best possible move for white to play in this position. Go ahead and do so. All right, so I know some of you guys might be sitting there thinking of everything that I've ever said before, right? Thinking like, man, you know what? He's always talking about pawns, and sometimes it's dangerous to grab them. So maybe there's something to this pawn right here where I shouldn't grab it. Well, in this particular case, what I said would be absolutely wrong. This is a 100% free pawn. There are no tricks behind taking this pawn. So if you did guess the move queen takes c6, even if you were like, oh man, I don't know if I really want to do that, man, then you would be absolutely correct. Like I said, there is nothing that black is going to do. It's not like this is tactically wrong. You know, you probably would see the move a5 and then queen would go back to c4. And like I said, man, I mean, this is just a pawn. So you basically have just won a pawn as black. And like I said, there's nothing that black is going to do. You know, white has a tremendous amount of squares to put their queen if it does get attacked. But, I mean, you won a pawn, like I said. So if you guess queen takes c6, in this case, you would be correct. But after we saw the move bishop coming to f5, we did not see that. Korobov, he had to have thought that there was some type of trap here, or, you know, it was just too risky to grab that pawn. So he just decided to compound the pressure on this e4 pawn. But the problem is, because he did not capture this c6 pawn, he did give it dynamic potential, which Wesley so immediately uses with the move c5. And so, I mean, it's really kind of hard for you to maintain pressure, you know, on this pawn now. We do see the move rook to c4. So, you know, we defend as black with queen to e7, and then after the queen goes to a5, they attack the pawn further, but they have moved away from the protection of this rook. After we see the move bishop to f8, you know, we do push the move a4, but this gives black a very, very nice move that he can play, which Wesley so finds, and that is a move queen to e6. And it's like, the rook is like, help! Like, I'm all by myself. I need some, like, reinforcements. There is nowhere you can put this rook. As you can see, the rook is trapped. It can't go here, can't go here. You really kind of don't want to take on c5, but you don't really have a whole lot of other options. If you take here, it's going to take, you're going to take, and then you have the bishop hitting here. And, I mean, you're just going to pretty much relentlessly be attacked. The bishop is going to develop if you try to go over it. It's just, you don't want to be that, man. So, basically, Korobov will just say, hey, man, I'm going to go ahead and bite it, and I'm going to go ahead and take rook takes c5, and that is what he does in the game. Bishop takes, and then the queen takes. And, I mean, you know, white is actually, I mean, they're up a pawn, but they are down the exchange. So being down the exchange is worth, you know, a little bit, you know, more than a pawn. So we do see black going queen to d6, and black says, hey, bro, I went to sleep last night and I dreamed of a queen trade. And white, I mean, like I always say, man, you know, you don't, if you're down material, you're down exchange, you're down something, you know, usually it does help the other player if you do go into trades. And so Korobov thinking about this, he says, man, you know what? No, I'm not trading you, bro. So the queen goes back to e3. We see rook a to b8. Of course, you're taking over that file, man. We do see the move c4. The queen goes to b6 because he said, hey, man, I woke up, I went back to sleep. I had another dream that we traded queens. And he said, no, we didn't. We didn't trade. We have to move c5, knocking the queen somewhere. The queen goes over to f6, and this is preventing the move queen to c3, trying to make sure that we kind of hold on to this pawn a little bit. The queen goes up to f4, just attacking this c7 pawn. We do see the move queen to e5. And we're like, no more, no trading. Like, we don't want any trades. The queen goes back to e3. But the only thing about the situation is, if we go all the way back to when we did see the move queen to d6, the actual best move was to just trade and go into this. The problem is when we get to this point here, after we have all of these queen moves and all these pawn pushes and things like that, you know, black or white is actually kind of wasting time just moving their queen around, you know, avoiding the trade. So like I said, it was better to just trade at the initial point and then start to try to get your pieces developed and onto like a little bit better squares. Because right now we kind of have an issue with all of these pieces not really doing much on this back range. And if you compare that to black, you see that all these pieces are like, they're ready to go, man. So black is in a much better position right now. We do see the move rook to b1, and we're like, oh man, he's pinning my bishop down now. You know, he's trying to win this other rook, because if you could trade rooks here as black, you're a-okay. We do see the move h3. We got h5 because black is like, bro, you're not making no more pawn moves over here, man. So, I mean, black is really kind of putting white in like a zugzwang type of situation. So the bishop does come out to a3, which, I mean, unfortunately just kind of makes things worse because now we are trading rooks, which is exactly what black wants. Rook takes f1, bishop takes f1, and then we do have queen down to a1. And it's like, hey, man, white's like, bro, leave me alone. Like, just quit attacking me, man. What's going on? So we do see the move king up to g2, and I have a second guess the move in this position. If you do want to pause the video and see what nice move black plays here, go ahead and do so. Yeah, I think you guys probably could see it, man. I really kind of think you do. There is a way to win a pawn in this position, and it involves sacrificing your bishop first. As you guys probably noticed, this king is kind of tied to this bishop, but there is a way to move the king over here. And it is the move bishop takes h3 with check. Bizam, right? Bishop takes h3 check. I mean, you have two decisions. You either take the bishop, allow your bishop to get taken, or just move out of the way. But then, I mean, you're threatening, mate is getting threatened right after that. So you have to take, king takes h3, queen takes f1 with check. The king goes down to h2. We got rook over to b8, and so we have just gotten our last piece into the game. And, I mean, this is monstrous, man. As I tell you guys all the time, we do see the move g4 just in an effort to try to create some extra luft for the king. Pawn takes g4, and then we do have king up to g3. And then we have the move that just ends the entire game, like kind of on the spot, and that is rook to b3. And it is in this position that Korobov does resign the game. And this is, I mean, this is a cute move because you have kind of like two options in this position. Well, I mean, you just, man, I mean, you can take here, but I mean, it's just going to be really bad. I'll show you these two different possible variations that you can possibly see, and they're both nightmares. The first one is just moving d3. You're thinking, man, I'm going to try to block. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to try to like put some pieces in the way, but the problem is you will see two scenarios. You will either see the immediate queen to h3 with check, and that forces the king up to f4. Queen takes e3, king takes e3, or even pawn taking e3, and then the rook taking a3. I mean, you can see, like, I mean, you don't have any pieces, bro. So this is one of the options. The other option is after rook to b3, is just simply taking the rook, but this does completely fail to this move here. And then the king goes up, and then you have just nommed the queen. Queen versus a bishop, man, that's not really fair, dude. That's like, why are you being so mean? Or what's that song? Why you gotta be so rude or whatever it's called? Yeah, man, like, why you gotta be so rude, Wesley, man? What's going on, bro? So I think, I mean, I got this picture of Anton Korobov because I thought it was funny, so I thought it was interesting, but like, I feel like that's how he felt in the game, man. Like, he was like, why? So yes, but I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat aking magkaibigan. Posa na nunood ng aking mga video. Spasibi for coming by and taking a look at my stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.